Welcome to Market Recap Live. I'm your host, Joseph Martin, and thank God it's Monday, guys, and we're taking a look at ticker ABNB. You might know them better as Airbnb. Airbnb Incorporated was founded in 2008 by Brian Chesky, Joe Gebbia, and Nathan Blecharczyk. I got it. It was some tough ones, but I got it. With the first office opening in San Francisco, California. Now they're publicly traded on the NASDAQ and have a market value over $75 billion. Yes, that's a B. Airbnb is in the hotels, restaurants, and leisure industry in the consumer discretionary sector, and they are listed in the S&P 500 index. Some of Airbnb's competitors are Booking Holdings, ticker BKNG, Expedia Group, ticker EXPE, and Marriott International, ticker MAR. We're going to review Airbnb's earnings, their website, and visit the charts to perform a quick technical analysis. But before we do that, let's do our roll call and check our stream poll. We are streaming live on YouTube and Facebook. Let's get this chat going and tell us where you're tuning in from. Put a YT in the chat if you're tuning in from YouTube, and put an FB in the chat if you're tuning in from Facebook. While you guys are filling up the stream and the chat, here's the mission statement. We are building a community over here for people who want to take control of their financial situation by learning how to unlock the wealth building power of the stock market. And we are streaming Monday through Friday following trading sessions at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. The U.S. stock market regular trading hours are 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. And there's a link for the New York Stock Exchange calendar down in the description. Okay, guys, let's get to it. Let me set this up. So we can get our live stream going. Not live stream. The earnings. Here we go. Is it smooth? Yes, it is. Bam. There we go. Airbnb, ticker symbol ABNB, the $79.7 billion company, reported its first quarter 2026 earnings on Thursday, May 7th. They have a 52-week high of $147.25, which took place on April 22nd, and a 52-week low of $110.81 that occurred on November 20th, which is a trading range of $36.44. And they closed today at $134.30. Airbnb earnings report beat on the top line, reporting revenue of $2.7 billion, which was higher than the market expectations of $2.6 billion. But they missed on the bottom line as higher sales and marketing spend and a one-time deferred tax adjustment weighed on profitability. EPS was lower than the analysts and market expectations of 31 cents when they reported an GAAP EPS of 26 cents. Airbnb reported a GAAP net income of $160 million, which is higher than the $154 million net income they reported this same quarter last year. This represents an increase of 3.9%. So for the first fiscal quarter of 2025, their net profit was approximately 3.8% lower than it is compared to now a year later. The earnings were released after the market closed, followed by a 5 p.m. Eastern Time conference call. As far as guidance, management expects second quarter revenues to range between $3.5 billion and $3.6 billion. Ooh, excuse me. That 52-week high compared to today's closing of $134.30 represents a decline of 8.8% over about a month. So if someone invested $1,000 in April at that 52-week high of $147.25, they would be seeing a loss of $91.34. All right, guys. Now, let's talk about why we visit these company websites. We are looking at the visuals and text to find answers to these key questions. What goods and or services does the company sell? How important are those goods and services to their customers? What makes this company stand out from the competition? And how well do they take care of their employees? Boy, it's always something, ain't it? In the live stream, alarms going off. Hold on, let me just go ahead and cut this off. There we go. All right, now where was I? What makes this company stand out from the competition, and how well do they take care of their employees? To find those answers, we browse 4 key areas: the homepage for the goods and or services, about us for purpose, vision, and mission statements, careers for employee benefits and opportunities, and investor relations for SEC filings and stock quotes. And for your convenience, all companies featured in tonight's live stream are down in the description. Now let's go to Airbnb's website. Okay, let me blow this up first. All right, here we go. We are on Airbnb's website, and I need some water. I found some type of way to do something. Boy, I do it every live stream. That's the right ticker in the company right there. Give me a second. All right, so here we are on the Airbnb website, and we are going to look for those things that I just talked to you about: the careers, the about us, and investor relations. We're going to browse over this homepage, and I'm going to click around to see where this information is. Okay, I don't see it up at the top, so let's scroll through the page. So capture memories nearby. So they talk about different things that's going on in the area or location you might be renting a Airbnb from, which is useful. You can plan out your vacation. It seems like just from this website, you don't even have to go anywhere else. All right, let me take me off the screen so we can see. So we see the helps, that's support. Travel insurance, air cover, the hosting, Airbnb. All right, here we go. So we got careers, investors, and I don't see about us, guys. I guess they like, you should know what we do. I don't see it. I don't see it. Services, no. All right, well, since I don't see that standing out, we're not gonna waste no time getting tied up over it. So let's just go ahead and go to careers, okay? Put me back on the screen. Let's go to careers. So here we are. Discover your place at Airbnb. Okay, so since we're at careers, we're looking for the benefits. Where are the benefits? And what are the different divisions within the company that we may not know about? Work in one of the most creative places on earth. From our first 3 guests in 2007, Airbnb has welcomed 1.5 billion arrivals, all thanks to our 5 million hosts. Wow, this thing growing like crazy. Has grown like crazy, actually. Open the door to your next role. Okay, so explore open roles. These are the different positions that the company has. So I see that. I'm looking for the benefits. So maybe they might mention it. Explore open roles, life, air, job search, contractor roles, internships, connect engineering. I don't see the benefits. So let's go here. Maybe it's in here. Okay, roles. Nope, I don't see it. Apply now, non-permanent roles. Yeah, this website weird compared to the other stuff we look at. They don't have an about us. They don't have nothing about no benefits. All right, let's go to investor relations. So it's not down here at the bottom. So we go back again, go back to the home page, go down to the bottom right here, investors. Let's see if we can find some stock information at least. All right, zoom in. All right, there we go. So I see the stock information at the top. We're going to scroll over. I'm just going to see what's on this page. All right, nothing that jumps out at me. Help Center, Air Cover Newsroom, new features. Yeah, still don't talk about anything about the company. All right, events, home, press releases, stock info, governance, resources. All right, so right here, stock info. We're going to go to stock quote. And let's see what they have on the website about that. Okay, they do have a chart. It looks like the formatting is a little off because you can't get, there it is. Okay. So the stock quote is down here. historical stock quotes, some tools, and what's that? Analyst coverage. And here's the charts that they offer on the website. All right, so we're good. Now, I'm so glad that I did my research before we actually went live on Airbnb, because of what happened with going through their website, like stuff. They want you to rent a place to stay. It seems like that's their main priority that they're doing on this website. Hey, rent a place and get out of here. Take a trip. They're not talking about what we do, how we do it. It's like self-explanatory. You should know, I guess. But here we go. I did some research, and here's what I got. Airbnb does have customers and partners that are listed in the S&P 500 index. Some notable names include Amazon, ticker AMZN. And for those of you who don't know, Amazon has a web services division, AWS, and that's how they're partnered with Airbnb, okay? Alphabet, also known as Google, ticker GOOGL, and Apple, ticker AAPL. Those are companies that's listed inside the S&P 500 who are customers or partners of Airbnb. All right, so we got that. Now, because it was kind of vague, we're going to read the description when we go over to the charts. But let's talk about this first, okay? So before we look at the charts, remember, professionals trade from a computer, not a mobile device. Mobile trading apps are limited. Traders can lose critical details and advanced platform features using mobile apps on phones instead of software on computers or websites. So keep in mind, trading from a smartphone is usually the least effective way for managing assets. To access the most details, it's best to use a full trading platform. Watch these streams on a computer or TV and only use a phone as a last resort. Now let's look at Airbnb on the charts. Thinkorswim, bring us over there, and bam, there we go. All right, now I said we're gonna go over here, so we're gonna go to analyze real quick. And the description over here is even brief. So let me take me off the screen and we'll read this together right quick. So Airbnb Incorporated, together with its subsidiaries, operates as a platform for stays, experiences, and services worldwide. The company's marketplace connects hosts and guests online through mobile devices to book spaces, experiences, and services. It also offers gift cards. The company was formerly known as Air Bed and Breakfast Incorporated and changed its name to Airbnb. These guys do not have a lot of information about what they do. I guess their business model is so simple, like it's nothing spectacular to really talk about. The business model is just, it is what it is. Because even this description is very brief and like, yeah, straight to the point. So you'll see what I'm talking about when we cover the other companies tonight, to look at the differences with the descriptions, to see how much the other companies, how long their descriptions are. But here we are on the chart looking at Airbnb, and we are looking at the 1 year daily chart, okay? And we are going to go to the 10-year weekly chart. And I'm not sure if it's going to go back that far. Yeah. So we got 2026, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21. It looks like we have a little bit of 2020 here, so it doesn't go back 10 years. And we're going to use this chart to come up with our technicals, okay? So what I'm seeing is this price level right here. So we're going to do a zone. Let me just go ahead and do a zone. And we can start from... Give me a second. I'm looking. Can you see? Yeah, you can see. I'm going to say my zone is here. Yeah. Here's my zone. So that's my support and resistance zone, okay? And I'm going to use this right here to show you what I'm talking about. It seems like over these weeks, since we're looking at even though it's a 10-year weekly chart, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's about 6 years. It's a 6-year weekly chart because they don't have 10 years worth of data. But we can see that recently They had trouble getting above that resistance zone right here. They broke above it here, but the very next week it closed within the zone and then fell right out of it. If you can see that on those candles, okay? And then here, a few weeks, it just stayed within that zone, broke out the top, and then fell back below it. It danced on that zone here. I can even back this up further. Give me 1 second. We can expand this one. So let's go here. We can expand this because it was fighting with that support resistance zone there. It got above it here. And the very next week, closed below it. It was struggling. But here in early 2024, it did get above it for a few weeks. And then it went back below it. But for the most part, when we're looking at this weekly chart, it doesn't seem to stay above this price level often. So we're going to put price levels here because when I have the zone, you really can't see what price levels those are, okay? So let's do that. So when I go here and I go to edit properties, let's hide this. We don't need this showing right now. We can see the values. So the highest part of that zone is $146.78. But since the price is below it, I want to use the lower part of the zone. So that's $144.63, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this tool right here when it opens up. Price level, 144.62, I believe. So I'm going to put it there. I'm going to double check this zone, edit, 144.63. Right click on it, edit properties, 144.63. There we go. And then click OK. There we go. So that's the bottom of the zone. And now I want to look for support. And I'm going to say it's going to be the low of this candle right here on this week. And I'm just going to use a line. Let me see what that's called. Price level. We're going to use a price level. Let's get the right names, guys. We're going to use a price level. So we're going to use that right there. So as far as technical support, I'm seeing support at $121.51, and I'm seeing resistance at $144.63 on the 10-year weekly chart, even though it's only 6 years, which we already talked about. So let's take all of this off that I drew. And we want to extend this to December. Use the calendar. Bam, bam, bam. December 1st. Bam. Okay. All right. So we extended it over. Now we're going to go to the 1 year daily chart. Let me cover this before we go. So in the 10-year weekly chart, we see that the high was $219.94 and the low was $81.91, just to point that out. So that's the 6-year high and low. Okay. So now we're going to go over to the 1 year daily chart. And since we did the technical analysis for the support and resistance on the weekly chart, when we come over to the daily chart, we're good. We pretty much got it done already. We can see some groups of consolidation though, looking when we break it down into days from what I'm seeing. So right here, this looks like consolidation to me. So after consolidation, it's either going to break up or it's going to break down. And as we can see, it went down. So let me bring this tool over. So we're going to erase this up. It went down after this consolidation. It found a bottom or support right here. Let me use this. There we go. Right here on this daily candle. And the 1 year, the 52-week low is $110.81. So it started to approach it right here. And this looks like this was on earnings, because earnings is right here. Let me see if this was, come on, pop up. Earnings call. So this was aftermarket. They announced earnings aftermarket. Yeah. So if they announced the aftermarket, this was when they actually reacted to earnings. This was the following day. So even though it's a red candle, it went up. But they dropped before they announced earnings right here. That's that candle. So let's put a price level right here, because this is the most recent low beyond the $121.51. So if it falls below this level, then I would look for support at 115.53. And then as you can see after that, then you would be testing the 52-week low again. So that's how I'm seeing it. All right. Now, when we are looking at this area, to me, this kind of looks like consolidation as well. Okay. But these wicks are crazy. The shadows and wicks on these two candles right here, the red one and green one, the bodies of the candles are very far from this from this resistance zone. But the price extended during these trading sessions all the way into that zone and just came all the way out of it during the trading session. It just couldn't hold in these areas. And then it started trading underneath the 9-day simple moving average, this dash green line. Let me hide this because I drew all over it now. The 9-day simple moving average right here. And it looked like it tested. It didn't look, it did. It tested it today with this wick. It tested the 9-day simple moving average, but it did not close above it. The closing price is right here, which we'll talk about in 1 second. So we've done our technicals. The price is currently trading below the 9-day simple moving average, but it's above the 200-day simple moving average. So let's get the stock quote for Airbnb. All right, so I'm going to cut on my floating data box, go to settings, go right here, floating data box, cut the cursor back on, delete all this stuff. There we go. Click apply. And here we go. So Airbnb opened today at $133.50. They had a high of $137.26. They have a low of $132.35, and they closed today at $134.30, which was a trading range of $4.91. When we look at the trading volume, they traded 3.7 million shares of this stock today. Hold on 1 second, guys. My mouth is dry. And my lips. Give me 1 second. Man, you got to be ready when you're going to talk. Mouth all dry. Give me a second. All right. So now we're going to look at the average trading volume to figure out what that is. Take me off the screen. Take this floating data box off as well. And go right over here. So the average trading volume for Airbnb in a daily trading session is 4.6 million shares. So today's volume was definitely below average. And we can even see that on Friday, since today is Monday, this is going to be the previous volume. So this would be from Friday. They traded 2.8 million shares. So the volume is increasing, but it's still trading below average. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the volume rank percentile, and we can put me back on the screen. I don't think I'm going to block this. Okay. So out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 94 days had less volume than today. So when we look at the volume rank percentile, today's volume was only higher than 37.3% of the most recent 252 trading days. Okay. So we know how much, like it's a little bit more detailed and accurate than just saying it was below average. Like how below average was it? So we talked about that. Okay. So now we can move on. We can go here. Bam. Go here. Let's move. Let's move. All right. Back to the community. I would appreciate it very much if you guys share the stream, hit the like button, subscribe. And if you wish to send a monetary gift to support the content, Cash App and PayPal links are down in the description, as well as the ticker on the screen. Now, let's look at what the S&P 500 index did today by using the SPY ETF. This ETF gives investors an opportunity to participate in the broader U.S. market by allowing them to own a percentage of each company in the S&P 500 index. Okay, so let's go back to the charts, and we can take Airbnb off the screen because we're about to look up the SPY. Bam. All right. Now I'm going to go over here to the symbol box and type in SPY. And it did nothing. SPY. There we go. All right. Ooh. They ain't making no highs no more. They not making all-time highs no more, guys. No, they is not. So today they came down and they tested a few of these support zones, support levels that we have drew on the chart and that we've been drawing every time they've been making a all-time high. We were drawing where it might come down and find support. So I had a viewer ask me, why not a 50 simple day average before? And I had shared with them, from my experience, the price tends to respect certain simple moving averages on certain time frames. So with this time frame, I'm using the 9-day simple moving average, and we can see that the price respected that today. It literally closed right on the simple moving average of a 9, the 9-day simple moving average. So we can get that number by looking right up here. Right here is the 9 simple moving average price point. It says $738.76. That's going to change depending on what candle I'm mousing over. I'm just showing you where to see it at, okay? So I'm gonna delete that. Now I'm gonna actually mouse over the candle I want to read that at. So it says $738.76, okay? So now I need to know what the close is on that candle to see how close it is to that simple moving average number. If you look over to the left, there's a C. There's a C. Let me show it. Let me show it right here. C, that's the close. So the close was 738.65. I don't know if it did it on that candle before I moved. I'm just showing you where to look. So we're comparing those two numbers. This 738.76 and then the 738.65. And we can see that that's very close to one another. Very close. So those are the two numbers I'm looking at when I mouse over it, okay? So here we go. I mouse over it. I'm looking at, yep, that's very close. So to me, that's respecting that 9-day simple movement average study. Okay. And then this wick, the shadow, it broke support at the 738.20. It broke support at the 736.90, but it did not come down and test the 731.83 level. But then during the trading session, it recovered and closed above both of those support levels that we had drew on the chart. And we've seen that it's done this a few times where the wick will come down, but it'll recover during the trading session. So since this high, the SPY has made 2 lower days. This was Friday and this was today. And remember, the close on the red candles is the body, the lower body of the candle on the red ones. So the close would be here on this one, and the close would be here on this one. So it's making lower closes 2 days in a row since this day that it made a 52-week high, which was also an all-time high, okay? As far as technicals, to me, there's no technicals to put on here because we already been drawing on it like crazy. So this is still support. This is still support. This is still support. As far as resistance, this is still my resistance. That's what I'm seeing, okay? So those are my technicals. There was no gap down or anything like that. So let's pull up the floating data box and get the quote for this ETF. So the SPY opened today at $739.83. They had a high of $741.42. They had a low of $733.39. And they closed today at $738.65, which was a trading range of $8.02. And when we look at the trading volume, they traded 47 million shares of this ETF today. Now, when I take my floating data box off, is it going? Yes, it worked. All right. Now we take me off the screen. We can check to see what the average trading volume is for the SPY. And the average trading volume in a daily trading session for the SPY is 75 million shares of this ETF, which means today we're still trading below average. Now, Friday, the previous was 60 million shares of this ETF. So this was also below average, but it was higher on Friday than it was today. So the volume is decreasing. compared to Friday, and both of those are below average. Okay, now let's look at the volume rank percentile. Put me back up on the screen. Now when we look right here, out of the most recent 252 trading days, only 19 days had higher volume than today. Now when we look at the percentage of that, today's volume was only higher than 7.5% of those 252 trading days. So we can see just how low this volume is compared to those other days, which it averages out to about a year. That's what the 252 trading days are. Okay. All right. So we covered the SPY. So you know what we can do? We can go back here. We can go back here and let's move on. Let's move on. So now we're going to look at today's winners and losers. And first, we're going to look at the loser so we can end the night on a high note. And the good news is, guys, these two companies we have not covered on the live streams before. For a while, it was the same companies either as the biggest winner or the biggest loser, then earnings and all of that. So you in for a treat. We got a whole different company today. And over the weekend, if you missed that live stream I did, the Q&A, I talked about ETFs. I talked about how to look at different sectors to see how sectors are performing. And in that live stream, we had looked and saw that the healthcare sector was performing poorly. Okay. So keep that in mind, like doing our research on the weekend. And I'm going to do this more often. I'm going to be doing Q&As on the weekends. My weekends are crazy, got a family and in the life. So stuff, it's going to be one of those days. So you're going to have to keep an eye out for it. It's going to be a surprise, but it's going to be at least one day on the weekend. I don't know if it's going to be Saturday or Sunday. Just keep an eye out for it. Okay. So let's go back to the charts. Here we go. Now we're going to go over to Market Watch. But I'm not going to let you see it because I think I had already messed up earlier and spoiled who the biggest winner or biggest loser were. But I didn't say it at the time because I didn't want to, give it away. But anyway, here we go. The biggest loser for today is ticker REGN, Regeneron Pharmaceuticals Incorporated. They are the biggest loser today. They lost 9.82%. So their previous close was $698.25. And today they closed at $629.68. Now let's pull up our calculator and do a hypothetical. So if someone had invested, let's say $400 and they lost that 9.82%, we will multiply that 9.82, and then it was a loss. So we make that negative and then we change it to a percentage. Then we hit equal. So they would have lost $39.28 of their $400 investment. So how much of their $400 would they have left? Just add the $400 back to it. And since that's a negative, it'll subtract it and they will be left with $360.72. Boom. All right. Now let's go ahead and move over to the Analyze tab. And ticker REGN is in the healthcare sector. Okay. And remember, like I said, we looked over these sectors the weekend and seen that the healthcare sector was weak. It's weak. And we're going to look at the Visualize tab tonight to look at how that sector performed as a whole today before we break rain down. So we're going to go do that. So let's go over to the Market Watch tab. And then we're going to go to the Visualize sub tab right here. Now we have the S&P 500 pulled up and we want to focus on the healthcare sector. So let's drop that down. And let me make sure I got the right disclaimer up. Okay. Yeah. All right. Now healthcare. Bam. Well, it don't look like healthcare did that bad today. I'm seeing a lot of green. But this in particular industry. So I don't know if this is your first time or however. So you have sectors, then you have industries, and then you got sub industries. So we're looking at the entire sector, but rain is right here. So the brighter the color, whether it's bright green or bright red, it was a larger gain or it was a larger loss. So the brightest green I'm seeing is this one, ZTS. So we can see that the gain was 4.72%. And this bright red, the loss was negative 9.82%. It was a 9.82% loss. Okay. That's why it's so bright red. And this is in the biotechnology industry. So now we're going to go into the healthcare sector, go to that industry of biotechnology. And now we can see that most of those are red. This looks like it might be like a dark green. Yeah. So this is the only green one I see. And it went up by 0.07%. Is this green? Nope, that's not green. What's up? Hey, what's up, bro? Tuning in from YouTube. I got it. Put you on the screen real quick. My brother tuning in. Look like you got a new channel, or I missed this one. But yeah, what's up, bro? Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for the comment. We putting in that work. Let me put this back on the screen. The loser. Bam. Okay. So now we're about to go over to the Analyze tab. Go back. So we looked at healthcare, and then we looked at that specific industry. So the biotechnology industry did horrible today. It was only one that was green, and it was barely green. So now we're going to look at the company profile. Take me off the screen. So Regeneron Pharmaceuticals Incorporated, here's their website. Their website is also down in the description for your convenience. Regeneron Pharmaceuticals Incorporated discovers, invents, develops, manufactures, and commercializes medicines to treat various diseases worldwide. The company develops product candidates to treat eye, allergic, and inflammatory, cardiovascular, metabolic, neurological, infectious, and rare diseases and cancer, hematologic conditions. Ooh, that was a mouthful. I'm glad I got through it. Let's go to their website. Let me put me back on the screen. I did pretty good. Let's go to their website. Okay, bam. Now, I see the about right off the bat. So this is a difference from the Airbnb right off the bat. So about, so we can see about Regeneron. So we're definitely going to go there. Here's careers, and here's investors and media. So boom, how easy was that? We know exactly where we need to go because everything that we need, they got right at the top. So we need to, I got the wrong disclaimer up. I love this. I love how they did this. All right. So we're going to scroll over their website. It looks like they have some videos that you can play. So if you want to check this out, remember the links are down in the description for you to check this out on your own time. Let me lock my chair. Sit back. Ooh, I need a massage. All right, scroll down. Massage. Well, I'm talking crazy. Press releases for investors and media. Life-changing medicines. I'm going to actually watch some of these videos. They got a lot of information on here. All right, we down at the bottom. This is the end of the website. So we know we wanted to go to about. So let's just go there now. We ain't going to waste no time. About Regeneron, our company, history, and locations. Man, I love how they had this organized. So right here, about Regeneron, our company. At Regeneron, and I hope I'm pronouncing this correctly. At Regeneron, we're in it for good. For science that dares, for breakthroughs that change what's possible, for groundbreaking new medicines. Okay, about Regeneron. Our mission, so here's the mission statement. Our mission is to use the power of science to bring new medicines to patients over and over again. That sound like a cure to you? Don't sound like a cure to me. I found out, at least from the research when I'm thinking about business, the money is in the treatment or medicine. Money isn't in the cure. Cures is like a one-time thing. But medicine, you can sell it to somebody over and over and over again because they need it to deal with whatever ailment or issue that they have for the rest of their life if you don't cure it. So that's one of the downsides about healthcare and business that concerns me. It doesn't, I don't know. You read between the lines. That's me. That's my thoughts. All right. So they've been in business for over 35 years, over 15,000 employees. So they got some good stats right there. Okay. So you can read that in that area for you to go over their stats, their statistics, their data, their numbers. All right, so let's go ahead and go over to careers. Was it at the bottom? No, it was on the home page. Yeah, there it is. Okay, careers. So let's go to careers. They're gonna take us to a whole nother website, guys. So let me bring this over so you can see it. So we bring this other website over. Here we go. Bam. Blow this up. Zoom in. Zoom, zoom, zoom. All right. So you know what I'm looking for. Where are the benefits? Now, based on how organized they've been so far, I'm confident. I could be wrong, but I'm confident that we should find it. I'm already seeing something that jumps out at me, how we hire. I like when companies break down how they hire to give candidates an opportunity to know what to expect going through the hiring process. I think that that's powerful. So jobs, working at Regeneron, culture and innovation, working in our teams. I'm mousing over these to see if I can see anything that says anything about benefits. And it looks like they have locations in different locations across the globe. You got North America, you got Asia. I don't know what that is, but it looks like you can definitely relocate with this company. All right. So let's scroll down. We might have to go to how we hire. We'll look up there too. So why work here? Your passion, your opportunity, the values that guide us, our principles define who we are, our innovative approach, bringing together people who see the world differently leads to better science and better outcomes for people in need, our teams. Okay, still don't see anything about the benefits. Commercial, global development, corporate functions, view all jobs, where we work. So these are the different locations I was talking about earlier. I still don't know what EMA is. What is that? EMEA. EM. I'm interested, guys. Let me find out what that is. Let me find out. Let me put me on the screen. Take this off for a second. What happened? Oh, I know what's wrong. I know what's wrong. And I almost ended the stream. Hold on. I don't want to do that. Here we go. Put me on the screen. There we go. While I go to Gemini. All right. I can pull you back so you can see what I'm putting in. Here we go. There we go. Where or what is EMEA when it is listed as a location? Is a business. EMEA is a business and geographical acronym that stands for Europe, Middle East, and Africa. This is why I say being dumb or ignorant is a choice. Guys, just take the time to look stuff up. I acknowledge the fact I didn't know what it meant, and then I looked it up. And now I know. So now it takes the guesswork out of it, okay? Now, so we know that. Now we can blow this back up. Working at Regeneron, awards and recognition, join talent community. All right, I didn't see anything about benefits that jumped out at me. So what I'm going to do, we're going to look at how we hire, and then we're going to go to investors. Maybe it'll be over here. Help us get to know you, the real you. We're here with you for your hiring journey. Okay, how we hire. Okay, those are the steps with that. Working at Regeneron. Yeah, guys, I don't see the benefits. So let's go ahead and move on and go to the investors relations. This was a website that had took us to. So right here, investors and media. This also opened up a separate website. So let me bring this over so we can check this out together, okay? Here we go. Blow that up. Blow this up. Bam. Bam. Zoom in. Zoom, zoom. There we go. All right. I immediately see the stock information. So we go to essentials only. Cookie Monster. Cookie. They even putting this little goofy logo on these websites now. Let me take me off the screen so I can show you what I'm talking about. Monitor. The loser. Oh, you can't see it because there it is. You see the little cookie down here? This. They putting this goofy stuff on there now. Let me put me back. All right. And then put the ticker. Because we still got to look at the charts. We messing around. All right. So we're on the investors page. Let's scroll down and see what they have on this page. Remember, the links for the websites featured in tonight's stream are down in the description. All right, so they talk about this, the ticker right here. They trade on the NASDAQ. There's the ticker. Here's some stock information, but where we want to go is right up here. Stock information. Stock information. These are some other investing tools that they offer on their website. Here's the stock quote. And they might have a chart, but it doesn't look like it loaded up yet. I'm going to give it a second. And guys, you'll be surprised. Sometimes we go to these websites and this information is not even there. This stuff would be blank. I don't know if it's because people don't actually do their due diligence and look at this stuff, or the company don't think it's important. I have no idea. There it is. You see, it took a while to load. So that's the chart that they offer on their website. And we saw that if you go to the drop down, they do have other tools that you can use. All right. So let's go here. Let's go here. Let's go here. Let me close this. And then I'm going to talk to you about what I found in my research about this company. So we got educational purposes and this and that. So Regeneron Pharmaceuticals, ticker REGN. When it comes to their goods and services, they discover, develop, manufacture, and commercialize targeted biotechnology therapies for major conditions such as macular. That should be, I don't know if it should be macular or muscular. Okay. So look that up, but it's saying macular. So macular degeneration, asthma and eczema, cancer, and rare inflammatory diseases. And looking at the S&P 500 customers and partners, notable names include McKesson, ticker MCK, CVS Health, ticker CVS, and United Health Group, ticker UNH. Okay, so now let's go to the charts. One, charts, right? All right. Here we are. We are on the charts. Ooh, that's nasty, guys. So even though it's a green candle, that can be deceiving just looking at that color. This is a gap down. The price went down. They're the biggest loser. All right. So let's draw out this gap down. So you know that on the live streams, we make this yellow. We make the gaps yellow so they will be easy to see. We can spot them out quickly, because we know we make these gaps yellow. All right. So there's the gap down. That's where the decline, that's where most of the decline happened today at, the decline. So this was Friday's closing candle. And then today they opened here at the bottom of the body on this green candle, and they closed at the top of the body on the green candle. So there's no regular trading hours price action between this gap. Another term for that is a window. So it gapped down. And that's where you get your percentage loss from that we're looking at, or we're talking about today. So now we're going to take me off the screen. And now we're looking at a 1 year. I'll point that out again. We're looking at a 1 year daily chart. So the 52-week low is $476.49. Their 52-week high is $821.11. And now we are going to go look at the 10-year weekly chart to do our technical analysis. So this makes sense to me. This is why it seems like it found support right here, because what I'm seeing on the chart, the last time it was at these price levels, like when this approached it, I'm going to use a price right here, the price level, and I'm going to put it on this wick right here. So if I do that, you can see that to this week, which is only Monday, tested that price level. And we can see that it's a few candles over here. It's a few, like these candles here had tested that area as resistance before it broke through it. So you know that once the price action gets on the opposite side of a resistance, it turns into support. So that's where it caught support at, the previous resistance. And we can see that it also had trouble here. Well, it didn't have no trouble getting underneath it, but once it got underneath it, that support became resistance. They had a hard time getting above it, and it sold off, came down here, and it was able to find support at this price level right here, the bottom or the low of that weekly candle, because now we're looking at a weekly chart, okay? And we can see that the 10-year high, let me delete these. The 10-year high is a $1,211.20. Okay. And the 10-year low, let me zoom in. I'm still off the screen. Zoom in. The 10-year low is right here. The $271.37. Put me back on the screen. There we go. Bam. All right. So with the price action being here, I'm going to also say this could possibly be support. I'm seeing this as a support, and we're looking at weeks. Don't forget, we're looking at weeks, guys. So let me also look for resistance. And I'm going to say my resistance is going to be this area right here. And this one is actually easier to do technical analysis on, in my opinion, because we can get away with some lines here instead of having to draw zones. So I have my supports, I have my resistance, and I want to explain to you why I chose these certain levels. So what I'm looking at here, I know I'm zoomed out. So let me zoom in so we can get. Wait a minute. That's not what we want to do. Let's delete that. Walk you through what I'm doing. I want to zoom in so we can focus on the areas I'm looking at. We don't need to look at the whole 10 years. Okay. So let me zoom in so we can take advantage of some of this space. Take me off the screen, and I'm going to show you what I was looking at. These weeks tested that as support. This week tested it as support. This area here, they tested it for a while as support. Okay. Now, remember, we've talked about consolidation. I didn't mean to delete everything. Can I undo that? Yes, I can. Then we just erase this. And now I want to show you, I'm seeing this area right here as consolidation. Now, after consolidation, the price is either going to break up or it's going to break down. And we can see that it went up. It broke out of the consolidation and went up. So to me, this was accumulation. It was accumulation. Then it went up and it tested the 200-week simple moving average. So the 200-week simple moving average, put me back on the screen, is the dashed white line. I said, put me back on the screen. What's going on? Oh, I know what's going on. My bad. Here we go, guys. Once this cursor, there we go. Put me back on the screen. It was the cursor. There we go. So the 200-week simple moving average, when it came up and it tested that, it seemed like when the 9 came up and tested it. So the 9, this is the 9-week simple moving average, the green line. You see, once it tested it as well, it sold off. And they had earnings. So when did they have earnings? They had earnings April 29th. Yeah, April 29th. So we're in May. So they didn't have earnings today, but they definitely gapped down. Okay. So with it breaking down like that, this can be seen, in my opinion, as consolidation as well. This was like a tight range of what it was dealing with for a minute. And then it's either going to break up or break down. And we see it's breaking down, actually gap down. So that's what I'm seeing for my technicals. Now we can go ahead and we can move on and go to the 1-year daily chart. And we can see that we have our technicals already done because we used the weeks to be able to do it. So it's like a little cheat sheet. We done. Now we can zoom in and focus on what we think might happen from the technicals, what I'm seeing on the technicals as my own personal technical analysis. So with the price action being right here, these are the levels I'm seeing that support: $610.45, $541. And then as far as resistance to the upside, it's going to be the top of this gap, which would be the low of this candle, as well as the 200-day, because now we're looking at a daily chart, the 200-day simple moving average, the low of this candle, and the 9-day simple moving average. I'm seeing all three of those as potential resistance if the price was to move to the upside. And then we can also see that this low Like it was tested, this price level was tested here, and that's almost identical to the top of the gap range. That's $692.50. Okay. So let's get the stock quote. We did our technical analysis, so we can go ahead. I'm talking fast. We did our technical analysis, our quick technical analysis. So now we can get the stock quote for Regeneron Pharmaceuticals. Okay. So let's go to settings, cut on a floating data box, go to apply, and here we go. So Regeneron opened today at $615.93. They had a high of $633. They had a low of $610.60, and they closed today at $629.68, which was a trading range of $22.40. When we look at the trading volume, they traded, and I'm rounding this off, about 3 million shares of this stock today. So now we're going to find out, what does REGN, ticker REGN, not RAIN, ticker REGN trades on average when it comes to a daily trading session. Okay. So now I'm going to cut off this floating data box. We don't need that for now. Their average trading volume in a day is actually less than 1 million. It's 971,000, rounding this off, on average in a daily trading session. So today was definitely above average. It was almost 3 times what they normally get. And then we see that on Friday, it was 328,000, which was less than average on Friday. So now when we look at the volume rate percentile, this really gives us an idea of how this volume was broken down, or how it compares to just being above average. Like, how high above average is it? Okay, well, out of the most recent 252 trading days, only one day had higher volume than this day. So that's why the volume rate percentile is 99.6%. So out of the most recent 252 trading days, today's volume was higher than 99.6% of those 252 candles on the daily chart. Got it? The most recent 252. All right. We covered the biggest loser. Now we can go ahead and move on to the biggest winner. So let's go to the Market Watch tab. Go to quotes, go to the quotes sub tab, and now we go to percentage change, and bam, we are at the biggest winner. So the biggest winner for today is ticker D, Dominion Energy Incorporated, and they gained 9.44% today. Their previous close was $61.73, and they closed today at $67.56. Let's pull up a calculator and do a quick hypothetical. So if someone had invested, let's say, $600, and they got that 9.44% return, we go ahead and click percentage, click enter, they would have made a ROI, or a gain, of $56.64. And we add that to the principal, which was $600. And the total investment would have grown to $656.64. Bada boom, bada bing. Now we can go ahead and move on, and let's go to the Analyze tab. So ticker D, Dominion Energy, is in the utilities sector. Okay, so let's go over to Market Watch, go to Visualize. We're going to close this healthcare one, and we're going to go to utilities. Am I blocking it? No, I'm not. So we're in utilities, and we can see that it's a lot more green in utilities than red. Let me take me off the screen so I'm not blocking it. So now let's get specific. Let's go to the industry that ticker D is in, so we can see it right here. So it looks like it's in the multi-utilities industry. So let's go there. Bam. And we can see that this whole industry did well today, except for this one, but it barely did bad. It was negative 0.22%. It wasn't even it was very minimum. It was red, but it was barely red, very minimum. So this whole industry did well today. Green, 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 green. Utilities, specifically the multi-utilities industry inside the utilities sector. All right. So let's go over to the Analyze tab and let's get some more information about Dominion. So let me take me off the screen. So we can see here's their website. I also have links to this website down in the description for your convenience. So let's read a little bit about this description of this company. Dominion Energy Incorporated provides regulated electricity and natural gas services in the United States. It operates through Dominion Energy Virginia, Dominion Energy South Carolina, and contracted energy segments. The Dominion Energy Virginia segment engages in the generation, distribution, and transmission of electricity to approximately 2.8 million residential, commercial, industrial, and governmental customers in Virginia and North Carolina. Okay, wow. All right, now let's go to their website. Here we go. Change the disclaimer. Put me back on the screen. Bada boom, bada bang. All right, so we are on their website. I believe I have a zoomed in already. We should be good. Now pay my bill. They trying to charge me. I don't use y'all. But anyway. Oh, so it's not at the top. I don't see anything at the top right now. So let's scroll over their website. Maybe what we're looking for will be at the bottom. Okay. Stay prepared for storms. Download the mobile app. So they have a mobile app for their business. Okay. Am I blocking any of this stuff? Nah, y'all can see it. So we're looking for, here it is. So our company, we're definitely going to go there. So we're going to go to our company. We're going to go to About Us. We're going to go to Careers, and we're going to go to Investors. That was easy. So we can go ahead and we can move on. We can move on. We can move on. Let's go to our company. Let's see what we can find there. So our company, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button and consider subscribing. I definitely would appreciate it. So our company, powered with purpose by Dominion Energy employees, by Dominion Energy employees. So if we're looking for mission, vision, and all of that. So about keeping homes, businesses, and communities powered is our job. And remember, links to these websites are down in the description for your convenience. If you want to dig into this a little bit deeper. Electricity and beyond, there's a place for you. Earning trust through leadership and governance, how we do what we do. Making energy, delivering energy, so they'll break that down. Our values. Let's see what we can find there. Didn't we just read this? This is repetitive. It looked like it just brought us back to the top of the same screen. All right, so let's go down to the bottom and see if we can find, okay, so go to About Us. Is this going to take us to something different? Yeah. Learn more about us, an energy company you can believe in. Customers and communities are at the center of everything we do at Dominion Energy. All right, our mission. So we found that mission to provide the reliable, affordable, and increasingly clean energy that powers our customers every day. Got it. Your experience should reflect our values. So they've talked about this multiple times. I've glanced over and seen it as we've been looking at different stuff. So reliable, affordable, increasingly clean. So it looks like those are some solar panels back there. All right, so we visited that. Now let's go to careers, see if we can find some benefits. Okay, when we're seeing use the interactive map to explore openings across our footprint. Let's see. Did they zoom us out? I think they did. So let's zoom us in. View all jobs, what to expect. Show me the benefits. Careers home, explore jobs. Is this a drop down? Oh gosh, it's not doing anything. What to expect? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. All right. It's slow. What was it, still loading? I don't know. We gonna keep it moving, guys. We're gonna keep it moving. Here it is. Benefits. Thank gosh. So we found it. That's all I want to do. I just want to find it. So here go the benefits. Click on that. It opened up a whole nother website. So let me bring that over so you can see it. Here we go. Bring this over. And then we can go ahead and go to investors relations. Some of the websites getting on my nerve. Do they have a zoomed out? We're good. We just need it on 150. There we go. So here are the benefits. You want to read through the benefits, how well they take care of their employees. We found it. So you get a retirement plan, education assistance. They actually look like they go into a lot of detail about that, about what they offer and things like that, which is pretty cool. Because some websites tell you less, some websites tell you more. Compared to what we've seen, this is actually pretty good. Okay, so now that we've seen this, we can close this out and we can go to investor relations, and then we can get ready to go to the charts and do the technical analysis and give you some insight on the research that I found about the company. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Here we go. Investors, bam. I'm glad it didn't open up another window. All right, zoom this in, or are we good already? Nope, we got to zoom in. They zoomed this out again, guys. So here we go. I'm going to browse over this page. Here's some stock information here. Oh, we at the bottom. Can't zoom. No, we can't scroll nowhere. It's the end. So we got a hyperlink here. We can click there, and we can also click here. So we can see they pay dividends. I'm blocking it. They pay dividends. They give more information here about the stock information. So we can see some tools, investors newsletter, stock price, and they pay dividends and splits. So let's go to stock price. Okay, so here's the stock quote. Here's the chart that they offer on the website. And we see some other tools that they offer that you can use there. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about what I found during my research. Okay, so when I looked into Dominion Energy, ticker D, when it comes to their goods and services, they produce, transmit, and distribute electricity and natural gas to millions of customers using infrastructure such as electric power grids, natural gas pipelines, offshore wind energy projects, and solar power facilities. And looking at their S&P 500 customers and partners, notable names include Amazon, ticker AMZN, Microsoft, ticker MSFT, and Meta Platforms, ticker META. All right, now let's go to the Think or Swim platform. Put the right disclaimer up. There we go. All right, now go to charts. Now see, the candle's red, but in this case, it gapped up. So the color, people might get confused about the color. So I like what happened tonight. The gap we saw earlier with, what company was that? This one, the biggest loser, ticker REGN. They gapped down, but the candle was green. Now on ticker D, Dominion Energy, their stock gapped up today, but the candle is red. So I think that that's interesting because it shows that the price can go up and the stock and the candle can still be red. So what I'm doing now, I am fixing the, oh my gosh, I'm moving too fast. The time axis, this was wrong. So I'm gonna put this at 30. My expansion area was off. That's what I'm fixing. There you go. So it pulled it over. We're gonna make the gap yellow and I'm gonna extend it over. Okay, so we're gonna make that yellow so it'll be easily recognizable when we look at this company again, or if we look at this company again, we will recognize that gap immediately. So we definitely can see that it gapped up, and they didn't have earnings and they do pay dividends. So it looks like they pay 66.8%, not percent, 66 cents, but it's an 8 behind it. So it looks like they pay 66.8 cents. That's what I was trying to say, not percent. So that's the dividend payment that they make. And we're looking at a 1-year daily chart, but we're about to go to a 10-week chart. Not 10-week, 10-year weekly. Oh my gosh. We're looking at a 10-year weekly chart. Here we go. All right. So at glance with this, we can see that their 10-year high was $90.89. Their 10-year low was $39.18, and that was recent because that was in 2023. And from that low to today's high, let's use the trend line tool so we can get an idea of this opportunity. Guys, that was a 76% gain opportunity from that 10-year low of $39.18 to today's high of, what was today's high? Let me use this price level tool. $68.97. There was a 76% opportunity as a gain. over that time frame, and it says 938 days. So those 938 days, if we wanted to break that down to try to figure out that time frame, just pop the calculator up. I would divide it by 30 because it would tell me how many months it would be. So what was the number? 938. 938 divided by 30. 31. So divided by 12. So about 2.5 years. Yep, about 2.5 years for that percentage gain opportunity. And they pay dividends. So someone would have been receiving dividends while they were holding that position, waiting for that to play out. Now it looks like they had a huge decline right here. This was crazy. But we're looking for levels so we can go ahead and get ready to wrap up tonight's show. As far as resistance, I'm going to say here. Yeah, I'm going to say here. And I'll explain why. It's also like a zone to me. It's not clean. Like how we were talking about earlier. Some of these seems to be cleaner than others. So we're going to extend this over to the right. Let's go to 2026, December 1st. December 1st. Okay, bam. So that's my resistance zone. And I'm basing it off of what I'm seeing here with these candles. All those candles that's showing up in that box I just drew. It seems like it's respecting this as support and resistance. And over here was the last time that it tested it. This week right here, and this week didn't even reach it. But when it was above it, it was definitely holding as support. And over here was the last time it tested it this week, and this week fell short from testing it. So if it gets above the high that it had today at the $68.97, I'm looking for this to be resistance. As far as support, I would say this pullback area might be support. These two candles right here. So if I was to put the price levels there, it would look like this. I'm looking for support there. And we can see that it was tested a few times as well. It's not just that one place. It was here. It was here. And it was all through here. Okay. So I'm using different weeks because we're looking at a 10-year weekly chart to look at how the price responded to certain price levels. Okay. So that's what I'm seeing. Now we can clear all this off and then we can go over to, did I talk about that? I think I did because it looked like it's already been moved. Let's go over to the 1-year daily chart. And now we have our support and resistance drawn on the chart, guys. And I'm also seeing the 9-day simple moving average as support, as potential support. The 200-day simple moving average as potential support, even though the price action is all the way up here. And then the 59.09. And then if we pull the chart now, we can see that resistance zone level that we drew using the weekly chart. Okay. So that's what we got. I don't remember if we talked about the 52-week low and high. So I'll take me off the screen and do that now just in case. So the 52-week low for Dominion Energy was $53.36 and their high was $68.97. Okay. Now we're about to put me back on the screen and we're going to do the stock quote. So the stock quote for this company cut on the floating data box. Now, Dominion opened today at $68.64. They had a high of $68.97. They had a low of $66.45, and they closed today at $67.56, which was a trading range of $2.52. When we look at the trading volume, they traded 40 million shares of their stock today. But we need to find out what their average trading volume is in a daily session. So let's figure that out now. Let's go get that information. Let me cut off this floating data box. This drives me crazy. We don't need it. Take me off the screen and we can see that the average trading volume for this company is about 5 million shares in a daily trading session. So this is significantly higher. Today they have 40 million compared to 5. So that would be 8 times. Yep, 8 times higher than what they usually get. Compared to what they usually get, this was 8 times higher as far as trading volume. And then on Friday, it was below average. It was only 4.6 million. So now let's talk about the volume rank percentile, which it blew it out of the water. So when it comes to the most recent 252 trading days, no days out of the most recent had higher volume than today. That's where we're getting our percentage from. So it's 100%. So today's volume was higher than all of the most recent 252 trading days. Bam. Guys, we got through it. We wrapped it up. So we can get ready to wrap up the show. We did our technicals. We did all of that. We good. We good. Let's go ahead and do this. Let's get this together. So you already know. I hope that you learned something, and I hope that you earned something. Thank you guys for joining me tonight. I've done 2 interviews with up-and-coming content creator Tiara Owens, sharing how I got started in the stock market, my profits and losses, and a link to that playlist. The interviews are down in the description. And make sure you guys tune in weekdays following a market trading session at 11 p.m. Eastern time. Take care and God bless.